Welcome, everyone, and thank you very much for being here. It's great to see such a full hall. My name is Daniel Baer. I'm Deputy Assistant Secretary of State for Democracy, Human Rights, and Labor from the United States, and it's a real honor to be here today, and an absolute pleasure. We're here today to discuss an issue of terrific importance both to Secretary Clinton and President Obama, and I feel very privileged to be here representing the United States. I wanted first of all to thank the co-sponsors of this event: Argentina, Brazil, Colombia, Finland, France, Ireland, Mexico, Norway, Romania, Slovenia, Timor-Leste, the U.S., and of course Uruguay. So thank you to all of the co-sponsors for putting on this very important event. I also want to thank in advance the activists who have joined us today. I'm sure that their testimony will give us plenty of food for thought and for conversation. Before we begin, I just wanted to offer a few opening remarks, and to start off really with the idea of human rights, which is grounded in the idea that persons are entitled to respect, and that every human being counts as a person by virtue of his or her humanity. Now, history is littered, as we know, with examples of the denial of this truth, denials based on race, religion, gender, ethnicity, and so on, denials that have caused wars and have been used to justify untold horrors perpetrated on humankind. In the year 2010, many around the world continue to deny this truth with respect to LGBT people. LGBT people are subject to criminal sanctions, and they are not afforded the protections of physical security. Confronting this challenge requires us to tackle several myths, and to assert several truths in their place. And I want to just highlight three of them. The first myth is that this is a Western thing. Gay people exist all over the world. It, in fact, is more accurate to say that the anti-gay laws that exist around the world are a Western thing, because many of them are a legacy of colonialism, than it is to say that being gay or LGBT is a Western thing. Also, the challenges facing gay people exist all over the world. The challenges don't exist just in some parts of the world, but they exist in all parts of the world, including my own country, and we've made progress recently that we're quite proud of with new legislation confronting hate crimes, but it's a challenge that we all face. So we should reject this myth. We should say that this is not an isolated phenomenon, but a universal phenomenon. The second myth is that human rights for LGBT people are special rights, which usually people mean optional rights when they say special in that context. The right to be free from unjust laws that target a person because of who he or she is, the right not to be marginalized because of who one is, the right to be secure in one's person, is a human right. 15 years ago, in Beijing, Secretary Clinton uttered what have now become famous words when she said that women's rights are human rights and human rights are women's rights. And in June of this year, she echoed her own words and said that gay rights are human rights and human rights are gay rights. Human rights are indivisible. So we should reject the myth that these are special rights and say that these are not a gay issue, they are a human rights issue. The human rights of LGBT people are a human rights issue. The third myth is one that has analogous myths for women and other groups, and that is that the human rights of LGBT people are the responsibility of LGBT people and of no one else. Human rights are human responsibilities. Men are just as responsible for advocating for and supporting the protection of women's rights as women are. Straight people who are committed to human rights should be concerned with the protection of those rights for LGBT people. So we should reject the myth that women's rights are women's work, and we should reject the idea that advocating for LGBT rights is the job only of the LGBT community. I think that today's witnesses will give us many helpful perspectives about how the struggle to establish human rights for LGBT people is being carried out in several places around the world, and I look forward to a fruitful discussion.